Samples in the form of tissue fragments, biopsy samples or body fluids are sent to the histological laboratory. Here they are prepared for further analysis under light microscopy, confocal microscopy or with the use of tissue cytometry. The automated histological staining system makes the results very accurate, which is important both for research and clinical diagnostics. The new fully automated system for immunohistochemical and immunofluorescence staining will allow the use of new markers in clinical diagnostics such as MR and RNA as well as protein markers. This offers entirely new possibilities which will definitely be applied at the Translational Medicine Centre in the near future. Modern research should be performed in conditions which meet the highest standards. These are ensured by clean rooms with the highest level of cleanliness. Until now, such rooms have been mainly used in the pharmaceutical, biotechnology, medical and industrial sectors, and as of late also in research labs.
Ostatnimi czasy również w badaniach naukowych, w laboratoriach badawczych. Pomieszczenia o wysokiej klasie czystości pozwalają na pracę
High cleanliness labs allow you to work with biological material which comes into minimum contact with contaminants, bacteria, viruses, dust and chemical vapors. Reliable results guarantee quality.
Temu uzyskujemy wiarygodne i powtarzalne wyniki, które są gwarancją jakości.
Znajdujemy się przy stacji roboczej, która umożliwia nam prowadzenie.
This workstation enables us to conduct automated breeding, in which we can simultaneously study many factors and variables, as well as visualizing the results in cell cultures. Such preliminary cross-sectional studies are an excellent starting point for in-depth analysis using confocal microscopy.
Prowadzenia głębszej analizy przy użyciu mikroskopii konfokalnej. Mikroskopia konfokalna jest techniką, która
Confocal microscopy is a technique which enables us to study single cells. Our system is unique because it is based on a spinning disk, thanks to which we can quickly examine large populations of single cells with remarkable accuracy.
pojedynczych komórek. Kiedy w hodowli wytypujemy populacje, które są dla nas interesujące,
When we select cell populations which are of interest to us because they can carry vital information, we can isolate them using microdissection. In this method, individual cells are obtained with the use of a very powerful laser under the control of a microscope. These cells can then be assessed using molecular biology techniques.
technik biologii molekularnej.
The microbiological lab has been equipped with an apparatus which will be used to control the cleanliness of the premises of the Translational Medicine Centre.
Oprócz tego możliwa jest mikrobiologiczna
In
diagnostyka
addition,
kliniczna.
microbiological clinical diagnostics can be performed, which will then be carried on in molecular biology labs, using next-generation sequencing and real-time PCR.
Techniki real-time PCR.
Pracownia biologii molekularnej pozwala na badanie zmian na poziomie komórkowym.
The Molecular Biology Lab allows the study of changes at the cellular level which occur in living organisms under the influence of biological, physical and chemical factors. The equipment enables us to test new compounds with potential therapeutic properties such as anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties. It also enables us to study mutations or changes in gene expression, both in normal and diseased cells. And as part of bioequivalence studies, we can study materials and biomaterials which could be used in medicine, for instance in transplantology, cardiology and orthopedics.
Transplantologii, kardiologii czy ortopedii.
W odróżnieniu od mikroskopii skupiamy się tutaj nie na całych strukturach.
In contrast to microscopy, here we focus not on the entire cell structures, but on their individual components, proteins as well as DNA, which carries plenty of information. That's why molecular biology methods such as real-time PCR and proteomic profiling allow us to very precisely examine what goes on inside the cell.
Zbadanie tego, co dzieje się wewnątrz komórki.
Znajdujemy się w pracowni
We're in the laboratory of Emission Spectrometry with inductively excited plasma. In this lab we can perform a number of chemical analyses. With their help we can determine the content of minerals, micro and macro elements in various matrices, in chemical, biological and physical matrices, depending on the needs. At the center we conduct a number of in vitro and in vivo tests in which the analysis of minerals is a very important analytical element. In this lab we can also determine the content of gold, silver, platinum, tellurium and other nanoparticles depending on the needs. We also collaborate with various centers in our field of work, namely the analysis of minerals.
składników mineralnych.
We are now at the cell culture laboratory with a lower purity class, where preliminary optimization processes are carried out for tests such as chemoresistance and migration, the effect of various growth factors on cells, so that these processes are optimized, automated, carried out on a large scale in regenerative medicine research.
W tej chwili znajdujemy się w laboratorium biotechnologii gamet i zarodków, które zajmuje się
Now we are in a gamete and embryo biotechnology lab, which deals in particular with the production of cattle embryos used in vitro methods. Mice embryos are also going to be produced here for more basic research. We have a number of professional specialized devices which allow to obtain, fertilize and develop embryos of animals to be used in medical experiments in a medical in vitro standard. We have a device, a so-called micromanipulator, which allows oocytes to be fertilized with the use of the ICSI method, which means intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Blastomeres can also be obtained for genetic testing. At this point, the equipment for this procedure is being prepared. A specialized microscope enables filming and image analysis.
Również ten specjalistyczny mikroskop pozwala na filmowanie i analizę obrazu. W sąsiednim laboratorium znajduje się
In the
sprzęt,
neighboring lab, equipment is used for cryopreservation, that is freezing and vitrification of embryos and oocytes. Liquid nitrogen is used for this purpose on a daily basis.
który używamy na co dzień. Jak również specjalistyczne urządzenia pozwalające na
Specialized devices allow electronically controlled cooling at a required pace.
tempie. Niedawno dołączyła do nas pani
Of
doktor
late, we've been joined by Dr. Żyżyńska-Galeńska, who specializes in research on embryo development and analysis of cell differentiation in embryos. This is done by staining specific proteins which appear in particular embryo cells at specific times of development.
zarodka w określonych momentach jego rozwoju. Prawidłowość
Based on the
pojawiania się
results, you can determine whether the embryo has developed correctly or whether it features abnormalities.
nie widać o nieprawidłowym rozwoju zarodka. Takie różnicowanie komórek jest wywoływane w zarodku
Cell
różnymi
differentiation is
czynnikami.
induced in the embryo by various factors. It may be used for stem cell differentiation in Translational Medicine Centre studies, which can then be used for guided tissue differentiation for therapeutic
w
purposes.
celach terapeutycznych.
Znajdujemy się w jednym z pomieszczeń w tak zwanej strefie czystej zwierzętarni CMT. Jeśli chodzi o naszą zwierzętarnię, składa się ona z części hodowlanej,
We're in the
eksperymentalnej,
clean zone of the CMT animal facility. The facility consists of a breeding and experimental part with complete storage, quarantine and backup facilities, as well as a complex of labs.
Systemu BMS, czyli Building Management System, dzięki czemu
Each of the sections of the animal facility is connected to the BMS building management system, thanks to which preset temperature, humidity, ventilation and light day cycle parameters are monitored. As for the animals which can be kept in this complex, there are laboratory animals, mainly mice and rats, but also farm animals and other animals such as dogs, pigs, sheep, goats and horses.
świnie, owce, kozy czy nawet konie.
Within the small animal section, there's a fully equipped operating theatre. It features tables for tests performed on rodents and advanced equipment for inhalation anesthetics, thanks to which all procedures are performed to the highest standards under full anesthesia, so the animals do not feel pain or stress at any time. Using this equipment, it is possible to perform in vivo imaging. In this case, luminescence and X-rays are used in tests performed on mice.
Luminescencji i promieniowania rentgenowskiego u myszy. Centrum Medycyny Translacyjnej wpisane jest jako ośrodek do Ministerialnego Rejestru Użytkowników, to znaczy jednostek upoważnionych do
The Translational Medicine Centre is officially authorized by the Ministry to perform experiments on animals. All experiments and procedures are carried out in accordance with the law on the protection of animals used for scientific and educational purposes. Following quarantine, rodents, mice and rats are transferred to specially designed facilities such as cages, whose size and other features are suitable for a particular species. Animal welfare is ensured.
Rozmiarów i potrzeb z zachowaniem ich dobrostanu umieszczane są w specjalnie do tego przygotowanej, wentylowanej
The cages are placed in a ventilated cabinet. Each of these features constantly monitored environmental parameters, including air pressure, humidity, number of air exchanges, light cycle and gas content. During experiments, all the rules are followed, required authorization from the ethical committee is obtained, and tests are supervised by veterinarians. The location of the animal facility close to laboratories allows us to carry out a full package of tests, both laboratory tests and with the use of animal models. After obtaining positive results in experiments with mice, rats or rabbits, we proceed to test using a large animal model, usually pigs.
myszy, szczurów czy królików przechodzimy do prowadzenia badań z wykorzystaniem dużego modelu zwierzęcego. Najczęściej są to świnie.
Świnia jest bardzo atrakcyjnym gatunkiem do modelowania.
The pig is a very useful species for stroke modeling due to its anatomical and functional proximity to humans. The brain of a pig is only 10 times smaller than that of a human, and compared to that of a rodent, the brain of mice is 1,000 times smaller than that of a human. The structure of white matter and grey matter in pigs is practically the same as in humans. So these are the features that make this species very useful for modeling neurological diseases, in particular for modeling strokes.
Neurologicznych, a szczególnie do modelowania udaru. Opracowanie nowych metod leczenia udaru jest kluczowe dla dobra
The development of new stroke treatments is essential for the well-being of patients and for modern medicine. Such research requires advanced infrastructure and imaging techniques. The research we are performing here would not be possible without the Translational Medicine Centre organized by Professor Gajewski.
Profesor Gajewski zorganizował.
W okresie dzisiejszej epidemii, przewidując kłopoty z ilością...
Faced with the COVID-19 pandemic, we anticipated problems with the availability of respirators. We thus proposed that 2 patients could be connected to each respirator. Courtesy of Professor Gajewski and the Warsaw University of Life Sciences, we had the opportunity to test the use of the Ventil respirator on 2 animal models at a time. In a long-term experiment, it was shown that these animals can be kept alive and well in adequate respiration conditions.
prawidłowo przy życiu i będą miały dobre warunki respiracji. W medycynie tak już niestety jest, że zanim wprowadzi się
In medicine, before any device or drug is introduced into clinical practice, its safety must first be experimentally tested. In the case of larger devices, such as here, which are intended to provide emergency ventilation for humans in case of respiratory failure, the device that meets required technical standards must be tested on an animal model. An experiment of this kind is now in progress. Only once this kind of testing has been completed, the device can enter the third clinical phase of study, when human patients with diseases which require respiratory support may be connected to the respirator.
W przypadkach chorób, które wymagają wspomagania oddechowego.
Cieszę się, że możemy.
I'm glad that we are making our contribution to research in the field of COVID-19, which is, in a sense, the crowning achievement for our operating
To
goals.
jest w pewnym sensie ukoronowanie naszego celu działania. Nasz ośrodek
Our
jest
center is currently one of the leading, if not the most important center in the field of translational medicine, which involves the transfer of the results of research carried out on animals into the treatment of various diseases and conditions which occur in
różnego
humans.
rodzaju chorób i schorzeń, jakie występują u człowieka. I wierzę, że rezultaty tych badań będą służyły.
I believe that the results of these studies will serve both medicine and veterinary medicine, they will serve society, and will serve us all, both at home and abroad.